I would like to tell you some thoughts and some opinions about problems in implementation of personalized medicine or in implementation of science achievements into real world. I'm the head of Center of Bioinformatics, but actually we are really in close connection with the Center for Clinical Research. We are quite well equipped with latest technology, genomics, proteomics, metabolomics. We have also PET/MRI in the hospital. And a few years ago, it was actually 3 years ago, we started, so we did first steps towards the implementation of personalized medicine procedures into clinics. But the key problems that we wanted to address was, or still are, the problems with standard operation procedures, which are related to all aspects of implementation of latest science achievement into real life. We think that there are still some problems in procedures for biobanking, for data integration, data analysis, data storage, then the data interpretation, problems with decision-making process. So at all levels, starting from the very beginning, from the data collection, then through the data interpretation and the implementation, we need some standardized procedures. Then, of course, is the level of science. I mean, still, we expect that there will be new markers, new diagnostic, new prognostic markers, and then this new knowledge should be implemented at the end. So still, we think that the decisions are inadequate or not as personalized as everybody expects. So a few years ago, we started the project which is called MOBIT, so Molecular Biomarkers for Individualized Therapy. This project was carried out in the consortium of different partners from Poland and Germany. And the goal was the creation of procedures for biobanking of tumor tissue, but not only, the development of software platform for data collection, integration, and the analysis, then the development of personalized diagnostic and prognostic procedures based on analyzed data, and the creation of reference model or standard operation procedures for personalized tumor diagnosis and intervention. So in general, the project was large-scale data analysis oriented. It relied on profiling of patient profiling at the level of genomics. So we did whole genome sequencing of our non-small cell lung cancer patients, transcriptomics of tumor tissue and healthy lung tissue, epigenomics in the same setup, microRNA from tumor and normal tissue, but also circulating tumor DNA profiling at the level of microRNA analysis. Then another level of profiling was carried out in metabolomics and proteomics. All the patients were scanned by PET/MRI, and what is very important there is that the large scale of data production, which was carried out then, this data should be somehow organized, managed, and analyzed. So the key part, and actually the part where my role was was important at this stage was the integration of different groups and coordination of different groups towards software development and development of procedures based on analyzed data. But at the end, we wanted to provide a good tool for the customers. So the clinicians, researchers, statisticians, patients, and others should benefit from this project, which is normal. We divided the software development into two stages. One was the smart Biobase, so database for data management, storage, and analysis, and the OncoSAP, so additional layer of data analysis with decision support system with an interface for customers and users. We were collaborating, and my role was focused on the integration of groups of the Technical University of Bialystok, so software development related group. They were responsible for the smart Biobase development, the Ideas for Biology company, responsible for preparation of bioinformatics pipelines and procedures. And we were using HPC cluster in Silesian University in Katowice. And of course, we were collaborating with wet lab and clinicians. So the first step was the development of Smart Biobase. Smart Biobase is a really complex platform with three key components: the data management component, data processing, and data integration and analysis. I'm not gonna talk about details, but what we can do is that we can easily transfer the patient's information, genomic information like VCF files, transcriptomic profiles, epigenetic profiles, but also PET MRI images, and we can easily store it there. We can analyze. We can run basic statistics there. We can also transfer raw NGS data and run the analysis within the platform. So it's more or less so it's complex and it's working. But then there is an data integration and analysis part where decision support should happen at this level. I mean, there are knowledge databases, curated knowledge databases, and procedures encoded and used later for decision support. So the interpretation level, where the data stored and analyzed data are used for decision support, we call it OncoSAP. This was the hardest part within the project. This is my opinion. So besides of curated databases, which were developed by our teams, but by our biotechnologists and bioinformaticians, so we use this database, knowledge databases as a filters for decision support. But then we started to ask the clients, so the physicians, doctors, surgeons, and so on. We started to ask them what are their real needs, how they want to use these tools, which support they need, because everything what I mentioned so far was somehow project-oriented, but not the product-oriented things. So we, as biotechnologists, bioinformaticians, data scientists, we can imagine what we can do with the data. We know how to process the data. We know what kind of outcome we can get. We can play with the data. We can produce papers and so on. But then the latest point is what are the needs of real doctors dealing with patients. So it was really hard part because they don't know what to ask for. And they don't know what is on the market, let's say, what is in science. They have some basic overview, but also they don't know how to use tools and what they can ask for software developers, which tools and how can be developed there. So we have carried out a series of sessions where we discussed these needs and so on. And these diagnostic or prognostic queries were translated into smart Biobase queries, and these knowledge databases were used later for filtering and for decision support, and more or less it was fine. But I will just show you one example how the standard procedures, accepted procedures, are hard to be encoded and used later on in an automatic or semi-automatic decision support system. So for example, here we have FDA-approved drugs for lung cancer therapy. We have some documents approved by Polish Ministry of Health, and of course in all countries we have different drugs which are approved by the system and so on. They are more or less described in a way where the biologist or biotechnologist or bioinformatician can understand it. But then we have to reverse engineer these prescriptions, which is quite hard task because you have to change it for the database queries from the natural language into database queries. So, for example, here we have queries for treatment of AGFR mutation, and with very simple Boolean logic function, we can move on. So there are different traits or different variables which should be taken into consideration. And at the end, we have an algorithm for decision support for gefitinib treatment, for example. So this is how it looks in the Excel file, and then it's translated into database queries. So it's a complex story, but this was just for one drug, and we have many drugs, we have many different variables, many different exceptions, and so on. So to encode it, even such a well-standardized thing into a real decision support system is quite hard task. But this is what the clinicians can easily ask, because this is the real life situation. This is what they really are doing. But do they need really a support in this point? Or where do they need a support? Okay, so this was how the software development was managed. Actually, the software is not used by them. They rather want to look into their own databases, their own Excel files, and so on. Even if it's well done, maybe it doesn't look beautiful, it's not user-friendly. The software was developed by software developers at the technical university, not by the company, and so on. But it's really packed with knowledge, with procedures, tools, and so on. But what is else? On the scientific level, we were able to identify new tumor mutational burden prognostic models. We were able to develop some models here. Using RNA sequencing from cancer and normal tissue, we were able to establish or to develop new tool, random forest-based new tool for diagnostic and prognostic decision support. And this is what will be published very, very soon. So what we think, and clearly I can say that the whole set of transcriptomic data, the whole unprocessed information from RNA-seq data can be used as a marker set much better than selected expression markers. So it just takes a few seconds to have really a clear clue in terms of diagnostic support. Then we found new epigenetic prognostic markers. Of course, they should be validated, and we have some prognostic signatures from liquid biopsy microRNA profiling. So a lot of information, a lot of efforts for software development, but the implementation is not as we would expect. Why is that, in my opinion? I think that what we and this is there's some thoughts from yesterday's roundtable discussion. I think that so far the progress in science development and its application into healthcare system was more or less slow, and the progress in genomic technologies is really related to IT technology. Sorry, it's in Polish, but this is just a scale how the IT technologies were developed in the same manner, or how the genomics rely on IT technologies. What we see within last years is really huge progress in data production and the data analysis, and then the outcome production. And what we expect now somehow is just our feeling that we should apply these new scientific achievements into real life. But we don't have time really to apply it there. But on the other hand, people, normal people like us or everybody, we have the same feeling that the information is there, so the science is there, the support should be provided. And what people are doing, they are searching for information, they Google information. In many cases, they are more prepared. They can do the self-diagnose. They just ask clinicians or doctors. They are ready to talk to him, to discuss possible diagnosis. Of course, doctors are not happy with that, but they are just not prepared to digest it somehow. So we have too many information. The progress is too fast, and we can't implement it in the proper way in proper time. And actually, our case of software development within a complex project and the data analysis, the scientific achievements, and the problems with the communications with professionals and so on, this is related to general situation and the lack of proper, let's say, business-oriented thinking about healthcare services. For example, here is a really nice report from 2018 about the future of health services research in the US, where the money for healthcare services are as tiny in comparison to, for example, pharmaceutical and biotechnology, computer and electronics manufacturing, software and paper publishing, computer software and system design, and so on. So there is a huge gap between what the healthcare services are spending for this progress for the digestion of information in comparison to other technologies or the other part of the market. I found also, and just I mention briefly our idea for how to help people to get what they want and what they can get really from science, from researchers, but also from software engineers and from the technology. So what they are really looking for just by Googling it. Here is the report of International Consortium for Personalized Medicine, so Perspective for Personalized Medicine in 2030. And the perspective 1 is the informed, empowered, engaged, and responsible citizens. What we have here is all health-related data is controlled by the citizen. Health data input and access is controlled, supported, and monitored by the citizen. And easy accessible, reliable, and understandable sources of medical information are available, tested, and approved apps or internet tools. This is what is happening already. So people are aware about information, about the value of information, and there are companies like Luna Genomics or Nebula in US, for example, led by Professor Church, so one of the most important researchers over the last decades. So these companies are trying to use genomic and personal information as a value, because this is what people deserve. So not to just get new products on the consumer market, but the value as a money or value as information which is health related. And we wanted to use these needs and these opportunities. 1 year and 3 months ago, we established a company which is called ImagineMe. And we think that it's a good time to use the potential of genomics and technology to provide information to apparently healthy, mostly apparently healthy people. Now we are 46, mostly biotechnologists and genomic scientists, but also we have 13 software engineers and developers. We have 6 people highly experienced in artificial intelligence and data analysis. We have 2 people, 2 specialists in data safety industry, and we have UX, UI specialists in interface development. And so our mission is to increase the awareness and engagement of people in personal health management. This is what many companies are claiming that they want to provide it as well. I think that we are really, we think the same way with Emma Health, and we have the same goals. But our vision is to provide self-improving AI-powered personal assistant for informed choice in the area of health, but not only. So we want to give the customer real information about his status, but we want to engage him. We want to show him that he can trust us, that the communication between us can be a value, or the information which he will give us can be a real value for his life and health status. Why we? We have 10 years experience in the implementation of AI-based analytical tools at the medical services market in the USA. we are working on electronic health reports. We are so we developed a discharge director software, which is used by many hospitals in US, which is designed for the selection of optimal care plans, for optimal discharge date, and for optimal post-acute care, and so on. And we are working on really large scale. We have something like 200 million records in our system. But we want to add a layer of genomics and behavioral and environmental data here. So how it works? Similarly to Emma Health, we developed an application, which is a mobile application and the web application, which gives really personalized information to the consumer. So we start with the saliva sample, and we run whole exome extended by additional genomic space for lifestyle traits. So it's a whole exome plus, and based on that, we can make a profile of a person. This is automatic process, and this profiled information are used directly by the system to ask a person about specific symptoms or traits in a really delicate, nice manner, just to not to overload him. And the person, so the key point here is that the person should feel that the system knows about him some information. And then the story begins. Then the system is trying to communicate with this person in two ways. So the system is asking him for some information, and he's giving him some hints, some additional information which should be useful for the person. So he should feel that that there is a value, and it works. So we are focused on behavioral intervention. So we don't want to cure the patient. We just want to give him information which he will look for which he will Google. So the great point here is that we have really motivated people on board, and we are experienced in the data analysis, the data interpretation. We already have about 25,000 pages of description of variants and traits with information. This is in Polish, but it's in professional translation now. So 25,000 pages with information which the person can get from the system. Of course, it depends which variant he has. But based on this communication, the system learns. The outcomes are better and better because we can learn on a population scale what is the significance of associations which can be population related. We can identify new associations. We can identify associations which will depend on behavioral factors. So the volume is the key point here. But everything is managed by the AI system, big data system, which at the population scale analyze these associations and address valuable questions to solve the real problems. So we are building a value within the system. We are partnered now with Dell Technologies. This is just part of the system. The infrastructure is huge here, but it's based on storage of the data, of course, anonymized data, the analysis of genomic information, then on GPU cards, the AI models are produced, and with the robust Hadoop system and profiling, we can give the people the right information. Okay, so at the single person level, we provide the whole exome or whole genome sequencing, detailed, updated genetic predisposition report. So it's constantly updated because the person should feel that the system is working on him. And we have many engagement increasing features implemented. But what is important for us is this two-way communication, so acquisition of behavioral data with motivation-related mechanisms and with some personalized guidelines and hints for behavioral intervention. So at the population scale, we can build, hopefully, on a large scale, the awareness. We can increase the motivation and participation in prevention, but also later on in cure. So we are almost ready to release the system. It will be on the market in December. So we are working on a direct-to-consumer genetic test model, but also in business-to-business model. But what is great is that many groups can connect to the system to communicate with a person indirectly. So we can get a lot of information from the system for the healthcare, for precision nutrition, or for sport coaching. But also, what is very important for us, we are building a value for scientific community. And yeah, in general, that's it, and hopefully it will be successful. Thank you very much.